list here out is step 0. That's how important this is, by the way, guys. It is improve your credit and save for the down payment. And the reason why I say this is step 0, guys, is if you don't have the foundation laid where you don't have good credit, well, it's going to significantly impact your ability to get good deals. It's going to significantly impact your ability to cash flow when you do get a loan. And quite frankly, it's going to make your whole process very miserable if your credit score sucks, okay? So you want to show some type of financial responsibility off the rip and get your credit score up. That means using your credit card and paying it off, trying to stay below that 30% of your max credit cards. I know someone here asked, hey, should I open up another credit line? If it's going to increase your total amount of available credit, do it. Because let's say you have one credit card that's only $1,000, right? And you spend $500. Well, now you've effectively used 50% of your credit limit, and that knocks your credit score down. However, if you open up another credit line for $1,000 and you spend that $500, now you've only spent 25% of your overall credit line. So having more credit cards open does help with giving you a higher limit, which then decreases the percentage that you actually have used. So that's helpful. But work on getting your credit score, guys, up to at least, I would say, to buy houses, somewhere between a 720 to 740
and up,
is going to put you in a good position. I would say with the competitive market nowadays, a 740, because that way that's going to impact your ability to get a house at a decent credit interest rate. Guys, I just closed on a house on Friday. You guys know what the interest rate is? 8.8 right now, man.
Sheesh.
Fucking crazy, dude. And even if you're buying residential, it's in the 8s, which is really high. So you best believe if your credit score sucks, and that's me with a credit score damn near almost 800. So if you have a credit score that sucks, you're going to be getting 9, 10%, and then it's going to completely destroy your ability to cash flow, which is already limited thanks to the market. But what's your guys' takes?
I think people forget how much credit is important, and I think for most people, I look into like school. So let's say you want to go to a good school like Yale or for example Harvard. You want to have a good study of the work you're going to have to do to pass your exams to get into that school. And people study their whole life for that. Same thing with credit. You want to build your foundation the correct way to get into the school of life, which means, for example, your credit score from day one. All right, I'm 18 years old. How do I start? Yep. Your father, your mother, your auntie, your uncle. Hey, Auntie Susie, Auntie Albert. Uncle Albert. I want to get into. I want to get a good credit score. Do you mind if I hop onto your credit card and become like a partner? I would say an additional.
Become an authorized user is the hack, guys. So under someone that already has established credit line.
Tap into that, and then you get a credit score off of them alone.
That's the easiest way to get into it, guys. For all you young boys that are watching, 18, 19, 20, whatever it may be, and you don't have a credit card yet and you don't know how to go about it, get a starter credit card. Watch your episode on beginner credit cards, right, that you can get with low to no credit. And one of the biggest hacks is become an authorized user under your parents. And
there's books you can read too as well, like Your Credit Score by Liz Weston. So just look into that, make sure that's a priority, so you can actually manage to get a better credit score for yourself.
Yeah.
So credit comes in tiers. So you do have to have a minimum credit score for different loan products, but as your credit goes up, you just get better rates, but they're not wildly different. It's not like 2% jump. So it's usually going to be somewhere like for you getting 8.8, someone with bad credit might have been offered like 9 something or something. Yeah. It's not going to be a huge difference, but if you don't have good credit, you can't buy real estate at all.
Yeah.
And credit is really just a reflection of your financial responsibility. So if your credit's bad, there's some looking in the mirror to do. That's really what the Pillars of Wealth book is all about. If you don't have money, there are people that will teach you to buy real estate with no and low money down. Okay. There are ways to do it. You probably should address the fact that you don't have money before you go buy real estate. As a real estate investor, you've seen it takes money to make money. If things go wrong, things break. It's not like buying a stock where Apple's not going to come and you say, we had a bad quarter, you need to give us some more money. There's a capital call. When you buy real estate, you're on the hook for what could go wrong. And so you're going to need to have some cash reserves. And I like people that look at real estate like the carrot that's going to have them put their financial house in order so that they can go buy it.
Yeah. And also, this is a 2-part step, guys. Not only are you improving your credit, right, to be able to even get into the game of real estate, you're also going to be saving money while you do this. Okay. This is step 0 right here. This might be a 1 to 5 year mission/plan where you're effectively, Dave talked about it where he was a police officer and he was working 7 days a week to save up that money. Typically getting your first property is going to be the hardest, guys. But once you get that first property and you have that tangible asset and you control it, then things become easier and easier and easier.
Also, budgeting is important too.
Yeah.
Because if you can't budget your money from now, how you can budget to manage a property? You can't.
Yeah. So what I would say is, because there's 2 different routes here with how much you need to save depending on what route you want to go. So first, obviously, work on your credit score, guys. Get that up. And then save up money so that you could put a down payment. Now, you have two options when it comes to that. You can go the FHA route, or you can go ahead the investor route and put that 20 to 25% down. I think for a lot of people, for their first home, house hacking is probably the best option, where you're putting 3 to 5% down. And if you can, try to get a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, because this is a residential loan, so you can buy a property of up to 4 units to stay within residential. After that is commercial, and that's a whole other game, which Dave could probably speak to that more. But you're able, you live in one of the units, and then you're able to collect rent from the other tenants, and then that will offset your living costs. Right.
And Dave, you mentioned you have a program for 5% for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, so there's several different kinds of loans, right? You've got basically conventional loans. That's what most people are going to be getting. You've got what we call non-conventional or non-QM loans, and then you've got FHA and VA loans. So VA loans are available to someone that was in the military. You can put 0% down if you're going to be living in the house as your primary.
Yeah.
Most lenders look at real estate like you're living in it as your primary residence, or you are going to be renting it to someone else and it's an investment property. If you live in the property, you are considered lower risk. So they will let you get away with the worst credit score, you'll get a better interest rate, and you'll put less money down. So the idea here is you get better lending standards if you're going to be living in the house. Now, there's nothing that says you have to live in it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You buy a 4-unit property, you live in one of the units, you rent out the other 3, you live for free or maybe make a little bit of money, and then in a year you move out.
Yeah.
You go buy another one, you put 5% down or 3.5% down if you have an FHA loan available. Now it cash flows more than it did because you got an extra unit to rent out, and you go repeat the next thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a huge baller that has tons of money putting it down on expensive real estate to build up this snowball if you're willing to be a little uncomfortable and move every year.
For a year, yeah. And guys, you got to live in it for a year. Please don't commit mortgage fraud. That will get you in trouble. And the feds will come knocking at your door. So yeah, live in it for a year, guys. Make it happen. Yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah, you might not be in the inner city or the cool area with all the hoes or whatever, but it's going to set you up for life, because what you're basically doing is you're acquiring an asset for with very little money down that you can control, and the bank is giving you damn near 95% of the money.
And actually speaking, guys, you're probably wondering, okay, I'm working a regular job. How's this possible? Get a second job, or work overtime at your job. I think for most people, they think, oh, you know what? I don't have enough money. Understandable, but you can work an extra job or work overtime at your job. And for the most people in here that want to get a property, listen, it takes time. Might be a year, 2 years, but save your money up for it, you'll get it eventually.
Now, let's answer this question. Let's say they want to buy, for easy numbers purposes, a house that's $100,000, right? And they're going to house hack it. How much money should they have total to not just move in, but closing costs, reserves for anything that might break down? What do you think they should have?
You're going to need $5,000 for the down payment if you're buying as a primary residence. You're going to probably need another $5,000 in this case for closing costs.
Yep.
And then I'm going to think you probably want another $10,000 on top of that.
Reserves?
Reserves. Things that
be
can
safe.
go wrong. Right.
So there you go, guys. So for every $100,000, pretty much, think of it this way: you're going to need $20K.
Yeah.
Like total
minimum.
That's because remember, reserve, and to define reserves for you guys, that's basically money that you have. God forbid something happens where you can't work, or you have vacancy where tenants aren't around, or something happens,
sometimes
emergency
the roof,
fix,
air conditioner breaks.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you have that money where you can make that repair immediately. And Fresh was transparent about that, telling you guys, he bought a house with no reserves. It was hell.
So I spent 2 years working overtime at my job, struggling, by the way, right? I was making $50 an hour regular, and I had like $13K saved up, right? No, sorry, $15K saved up. I spent $12K, everything closing, everything like that, and then another $2K for like repairs, whatever. Long story short, I had $1K in my account savings after that. Now, mind you, I forgot that like when you buy property, things break down. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. I got a property. I'm killing it. I'm 23 years old. I'm killing this shit, right? Then, lo and behold, plumbing issues, roof issues. I'm like, fuck, bro.
It's always in year one too when it gets bad.
Screwed.
Yeah. Luckily,
my realtor, shout out to him, Nick, he mentioned Y Green. There's a program you can use, government funding, where they fund your repairs, and I got into that program and I covered it. But for the most part, without reserves, bro, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So that's very important, man.
Yeah.
That's
so,
A1.
So I think that's a really good number to go off of. So guys, for every $100,000 that you're buying the house, have $20K
minimum.
Minimum, and that's going to cover everything: closing costs, your reserves, and your down payment.